Big news today from the Obama administration that frankly is going to take a little getting used to. There is yet another new name we are supposed to use for the wars. In fact, we're not even supposed to call them wars anymore. Okay, for a refresher, after 9/11, the Bush administration, of course, quickly declared a war on terror.
Our war on terror begins with Al-Qaeda, but it does not end there.
The war on terror. The war on terrorism. That's what we were first supposed to call American military action after 9/11. And if you want to get picky, a war on terrorism is a war on a tactic, which is kind of a hard thing to win, and a war on terror itself is a war on a bad feeling, the feeling of terror, which is also sort of hard to declare victory over. Eventually, the word global was added to the phrase war on terror.
It's a victory in the global war on terror.
So it went from a war on terror, or a war on terrorism, to a global war on terrorism. Then Donald Rumsfeld threw a wrench in the works by stopping using the phrase war on terror at all. He instead started talking about
The struggle against violent extremism is going to take a long time.
A global struggle against violent extremism. Mr. Rumsfeld even put an acronym on it, GSAVE, Global Struggle Against Violent Extremism. He put that in writing a few times, GSAVE. The problem was that phrase, Global Struggle Against Violent Extremism, is a little clunky and hard to remember. And sometimes trying to remember something that you only partially recall can lead to really awkward make-it-up-as-you-go-along moments.
We've actually misnamed the war on terror. It ought to be the struggle against ideological extremists who do not believe in free societies, who happen to use terror as a weapon to try to shake the conscience of the free world.
That one didn't catch on either. The struggle against ideological extremists who do not believe in free societies, who happen to use terror as a weapon to try to shake the conscience of the free world. The acronym for that one was TSAIEWDNBIFSWHTUTAAWTTTSTCOTFW, and I kept getting that wrong. Despite how catchy the acronym was, it didn't catch on. To simplify, there was a brief effort to recast all of those things as simply the long war.
West Point has given you the skills you will need in Afghanistan and Iraq, and for the long war with Islamic radicalism.
As in the long war. Hey, Muslims, we're going to stay in your countries for a long time. So that one never really caught on either, even though it was easy to remember. Now, after all of those etymological iterations, after all of those different brand names have been tried and found wanting, President Obama's administration has picked something new, and they've put it in writing. Al Kamen in the Washington Post reports today that speechwriters and other Pentagon staff have been notified by email as of this morning that per instruction from Obama's Office of Management and Budget, quote, this administration prefers to avoid using the term long war or global war on terror. Please use overseas contingency operation. Overseas contingency operation. From here on out, is that for Iraq and Afghanistan and everything else? Overseas contingency operation. OCO. That's going to take some getting used to. And probably some explaining, too.